break them down, and make them stick. Today, we're really getting into organizational quality, with a capital Q, and that whole idea of continuous improvement, Kaizen.
That's right. And look, we're not just talking about, oh, that was a nice meal or this phone feels solid. We want to go deeper. Beyond that gut feeling, we're looking at the actual frameworks organizations use, how they define quality, how they measure it, and crucially, how they keep getting better. It's really strategic stuff.
Definitely strategic. And maybe to kick things off, let's get you thinking, just for a moment. Call up a memory of really poor quality, maybe terrible service, or a product that just fell apart. What do you think caused it? Was it like a faulty component? An employee having a bad day? And then put yourself in charge. What specific process, what rule would you put in place to stop that specific failure from happening again? That jump, from being annoyed to thinking about systems. That's kind of our journey today.
Okay, so let's start at the start. What is quality? We throw the word around. Sometimes it means expensive, sometimes it means durable. But for operations, we need something more concrete. What's the core difference between how a company sees quality internally versus how the customer sees it externally?
Yeah, the sources really draw a sharp line here. The internal definition is very technical. It's about how well the product or service matches its design specification, pure conformance. So think about, say, two laptops. One's cheap, one's premium. Internally, the quality difference is just about the specs, more RAM, better screen, not necessarily how well each one meets its own spec. Okay. So internally, it's just, did we build what the blueprint said, regardless of whether the blueprint was for a basic model or a high-end one?
Precisely. But then you flip it. The external definition is all about the market. Is it fit for purpose? Does it actually do what the customer needs or wants? And, the gold standard is, does it actually delight the customer? So operational quality. It's really a mix of both. You need a good design, and you need to execute that design accurately.
That makes a lot of sense. You could perfectly build something to a flawed design and still fail spectacularly with the customer.
Exactly right. And that difference really shapes how companies approach quality management. The old way, traditional quality control, was all based on that internal conformance. It meant lots of inspection, testing at the end of the line, basically a policy of detection. Find the errors before they ship. The modern thinking, it shifts focus way earlier to the design of the product, yes, but also the design of the process. The goal is prevention, getting it right first time.
Okay, right, first time. That sounds good, but let's talk strategy. Resources are always tight. Why does quality get, or should get, top billing? You hear companies boast about speed or being the cheapest. Why start with quality?
Because it's the bedrock. We really need to bring in Ferdows Sandcone Model here from back in 1990. It's such a powerful visual. It argues you have to build operational capabilities in a specific order, like layers of sand. Quality has to be the stable base. If that base isn't solid, anything you pile on top will just collapse.
So what actually happens then if a company ignores that and says, nope, we're going straight for cost cutting?
Well, according to the model, it's setting itself up for trouble long term, or at least it won't reach its full potential. The sequence isn't optional, it argues. It has to be. Quality first. Get that right. Then you can build dependability, delivering reliably. Once you're dependable, then you can work on speed. After speed comes flexibility, handling changes in demand or product mix. And only then, only after all that, can you genuinely, sustainably compete on cost.
That clicks, operationally speaking. I mean, if I slash costs before I'm reliable, I'm just going to end up spending more, fixing mistakes, dealing with returns, express shipping. It's false economy.
Absolutely. And the sources are clear. Getting this hierarchy right unlocks huge strategic advantage. If you nail these 5 things in order, you can compete effectively on all fronts. High-quality products, yeah, but also reliable delivery, introducing new stuff quickly, managing different volumes, and achieving a low price that comes from real efficiency, not just cutting corners.
Okay, so if the goal is prevention, getting it right first time, you need systems. You need standards. That's where things like ISO come in, right?
Exactly. Standards play this huge, often invisible role. Think
Yes.
about it. They stop parts not fitting together. They prevent systems being incompatible. They ensure safety. They create a kind of level playing field. And they're the backbone for formal quality assurance systems.
And ISO 9000 is probably the one most people have heard of.
For sure. ISO 9000 is about certifying the management system itself. It says, okay, you have processes in place for quality. Then you get industry-specific ones, like IATF 16949 for automotive suppliers. You basically have to have that to play in that sandbox. And it's not just manufacturing. Think about education universities have REF or TF, schools have Ofsted in the UK, for example. They're all external audits grading the quality system.
But let's pause there because it's not all smooth sailing. These standards, while important, face some pretty hefty criticisms, don't they? Like getting bogged down in paperwork or just chasing awards.
Oh, definitely. And this is a really important caveat. Getting certified shows you have a system, but it's just an indication. It's absolutely not a guarantee of the quality of the actual thing you sell or the service you provide. And yeah, the bureaucracy. Schemes like ISO 9000 are often slammed for creating mountains of paperwork.
Mm.
You risk spending more time writing manuals and ticking boxes than actually, improving things.
Right. You become world class at documentation, but maybe not at making better widgets.
That's the danger. And it feeds directly into what's sometimes called the gong mentality. This is where companies chase certifications or quality awards, mainly for the PR boost, for the trophy on the shelf, rather than because they genuinely want to improve from the inside out. If the main driver is just passing the next audit, you might meet the standard, but you probably won't build that deep internal culture of continuous improvement. And that culture is really the end goal.
Okay, so if certification can be a bit superficial, a paper exercise, and paper doesn't stop defects, the real action must be in the measurement, in the data.
Yeah.
How do operations move beyond the checklists and actually measure quality in a meaningful way?
Good question. The sources distinguish between two main approaches to measurement. There's the older way, often used for checking stuff coming in from suppliers, called measurement by attributes. It's basically a go-no-go check. Is the box damaged? Yes or no. Does the pin fit in the hole? Yes or no. Binary.
Black and white, got it.
Exactly. But the more powerful method, especially for keeping your own processes stable, is measurement by variables. Here, you're measuring something on a continuous scale. Length, weight, temperature, time, whatever it is. You're tracking the actual value.
And why is measuring the variable better for control?
Because it gives you early warnings.
Yeah.
You use tools called process control charts, things like X bar charts for averages and R charts for the range or spread. Think of them like a very sensitive thermostat for your process. They have lines drawn on them. Upper and lower action limits, if you cross those, you've got a problem. But critically, they also have upper and lower warning limits inside the action limits.
Ah, so if the process starts drifting towards a warning limit, you can tweak things before you actually start making bad parts that cross the action limit.
That's precisely the idea. It allows for proactive adjustments. It helps keep the process centered and stable, preventing defects before they happen. It ties right back into that prevention philosophy we talked about.
So once you have the measurement tools like control charts, companies often roll out more formal improvement programs. There's been a kind of evolution of these over the decades, hasn't there?
Yeah, you can trace a clear path. Back in the early 60s, you had initiatives like Zero Defects. Then in the 80s, quality circles became really popular. The 90s saw the widespread adoption of Kaizen principles. And then into the 2000s, these ideas often got bundled into bigger frameworks like business excellence models.
Okay, let's zoom in on that core idea. Total quality management, TQM, and its engine, Kaizen. What makes TQM such a fundamental shift for an organization?
TQM is really powered by Kaizen, that Japanese term meaning continuous, never-ending improvement. The really radical part is about who's responsible. TQM says everyone is responsible for quality, from the CEO right down to the person on the shop floor or the customer service desk. It fundamentally changes the power dynamic and expectations.
How does that play out in practice? Like, what does everyone is responsible actually look like on a factory floor?
We'll take the ideas of quality at source and right first time. It's not just a nice slogan. It means the person doing the work is empowered, actually expected to stop the process if they see a problem. Imagine stopping an entire assembly line because you spot a potential defect. That's a huge shift in empowerment and accountability. It means improvement comes from measurement, from everyone participating, from building this culture, not just having a separate quality police department catching errors downstream.
So for TQM and Kaizen to really take root and not just be another management fad, what needs to be in place? What are the key organizational features?
Well, first off, you need a relentless focus on the customer, understanding their requirements, aiming for satisfaction, and developing this quality ethos at every single level. It has to be cultural. Second, it's not just about high quality, but consistent quality, reducing variation. Third, you need teamwork, using data and structured problem solving, the scientific approach, really. And fourth, something often overlooked. You need genuine long-term partnerships with your suppliers. You can't achieve great outgoing quality if you have inconsistent incoming materials. The whole supply chain needs to be involved. It all drives towards this quest for, well, perfection, really, in the product, in the service, in the delivery. Continuous improvement and right first time become the mantras.
So if TQM is the philosophy and Kaizen is the engine. Then things like the European Foundation for Quality Management model, EFQM, are kind of like the dashboard, trying to measure business excellence. How does that work?
Yeah, the EFQM model is a good example of a comprehensive framework used to assess how well an organization is doing on this journey. It's structured quite cleverly as 50% enablers and 50% results. The balance is key. It recognizes that you need good systems and you need to deliver actual results.
Okay, break that down. What falls under enablers for that first 50%?
Enablers are basically the things the organization does to achieve results. It includes leadership, how leaders drive the culture, that's 10%. Processes get the biggest chunk at 14%. Then you have policy and strategy, how you manage people, and how you handle partnerships and resources. These are the inputs, the drivers.
And the other 50%, the results. Where does the model place the most weight there?
Well, reflecting that customer focus we talked about, the single biggest slice goes to customer satisfaction, weighted at 20%. After that comes key performance results, the hard business metrics at 15%. The rest is split between people satisfaction, your employees, and the organization's impact on society.
What I find interesting about that EFQM model, especially thinking about Kaizen, is that it seems built to be circular, not static.
Absolutely. It's designed that way. There's an explicit feedback loop. Things like innovation and learning, which come out of the results, are shown to feed back into improving the enablers. It reinforces that core Kaizen idea. You achieve something, you learn from it, and you use that learning to refine your leadership, your processes, your strategy for the next cycle. It's meant to drive never-ending improvement.
Right. So pulling this all together, we've gone from just a vague feeling about quality to seeing it as the absolute strategic foundation in the Sandcone model. We've looked at how companies try to formalize it with standards like ISO, the pitfalls there, and then how the philosophy really shifted towards this deep cultural commitment embodied by Kaizen and TQM.
Exactly. The sources trace this clear line from old school control, inspect, detect, manage by checklist to the modern ideal. Prevent problems, use data, empower everyone, build a culture. Which leaves us, and you listening, with a bit of attention to think about. We know that external standards can sometimes lead to that gong mentality, chasing the award. So the final question is, how well can any large organization truly sustain, never-ending Kaizen, that deep internal drive, if a major motivation becomes passing the external audit or winning the prize, rather than the intrinsic desire to just get better every single day? Wrestling with that conflict between external validation and internal culture, that's probably the ongoing challenge in making continuous improvement actually continuous.